So, helping us review this week's news is Labour Councillor for Bedminster, Colin Smith. Hi, Colin, and welcome to Drive Time.
Thank you very much.
First of all, on our question for hour 2, is Britain still a feudal country? It'd be interesting to hear from you, as someone who's been Lord Mayor and circulated around a bit amongst the great and the good of Bristol. Is Britain still a feudal country?
I still think that working people have a lot to do to get back to some kind of influence or power in this country. I think that there are certain influences in this country, class influences and class divisions, which still exist and have been in existence for hundreds of years. And it's difficult to break them down. Now,
I mean, it sounds to me like you're saying, yes, it is. But, I mean, we had a civil war, didn't we, in the 1600s? Still, I mean, what's the situation now? Do you think that some of the gains that have been made by working people, equality, that is to say equality of opportunity around the country, which was certainly sold to us, wasn't it, in the 1950s and 60s, some of that has been lost now?
No, I think that we are gaining incrementally, but it's only bit by bit. I mean, I remember my grandfather was a miner who died at the age of 50 from silicosis. Now, you know, for his grandson to end up as Lord Mayor is probably outside of anybody's imagination. So that indicates that working classes are making steps, but we've still got a long way to go.
What about people like the merchant venturers? Because, I mean, we talk about them here quite a bit on here. I mean, they were involved in the slave trade back in the old days, and many people say, well, that's let bygones be bygones, but they're still very powerful and wealthy today, aren't they?
Well, yeah, absolutely, and clearly it's not just about people who are merchant venturers. It's about people who are investing in business, starting in businesses and succeeding at businesses, which are part and parcel of the mixed economy that we live in. And they have a great measure of influence, but, you know, there's still the ballot box.
And does the ballot box really mean anything still? Because, again, you know, a lot of people now say, well, whoever's in charge of the ship, it's still going the wrong way.
Well, I think the worrying thing about the ballot box is that clearly we have a generation of young people who in 20 years' time are not going to be voting. And that is actually a serious problem for the working class, is that there are people who are leaving school in Hartcliffe today who will not be voting in any local or general election in years to come. And actually what's that doing is giving away power to people who do use power in other ways.
Well, isn't that because, Colin, they think that actually the vote isn't really going to make much difference to their lives, that most of the main parties are simply, they're all bought in to the same kind of economic system?
Well, to a certain degree, you're correct, but I do think it's about education, and I think it's about educating people to understand the nature of the vote and the need to vote, and what part that vote plays in allowing us all to take part in the power and the administration that we see throughout the country. I think it's a very, very difficult question.
So what was the biggest lesson you learnt about how Bristol really works from being Lord Mayor?
Biggest lesson I learned was that there are people within this city, and you have to bear in mind that Bristol is a very wealthy city, but unique amongst other cities in the country. We have lots of people who are at the top end of the economy, and we have lots of people who are at the bottom end of the economy, and actually the two don't meet. And I think that's one of the things that that I actually discovered about how Bristol operates, is that the business and entrepreneurship in Bristol is very how can I put it? They network furiously, and they do fantastic work for their own charities. But essentially, the people run this city for their benefit.